Hi and welcome to another edition of Sit Down with Jan. This is Jan, your host, Jan Ragnerud. Today, we're going to cover a question. How do I grow my local business? This is the fast path. This is the online edition. Keep watching. Okay, so here's a question for you. How do you grow your local business fast? You know, this comes up often. This comes up all the time. Any business owner, executive, partner, player that wants to grow locally wants to do it fast. Now, today I'm going to share with you some of these principles that we look at to help business owners grow fast. And what happens often is you get questions like this. How can I get more traffic? How can I get found in the local maps? How can I drive more business in the local community? Well, those are great questions. But when I speak to business owners about this, I really tend to focus on a couple of other things first. Let's dig in, shall we? Okay, so this one here. Why? Why do you want to grow your business? And it sounds a little counterintuitive, perhaps, but a little airy-fairy, if you will. Here's the truth, though. We want to understand a little bit about you. We want to understand about your business, your directives. So things like money. Yeah, you want to make more money. You know, you want to make more revenue. You want to build your business. You want to grow your business. Perhaps it's because of family. You want to leave more of a legacy behind for your family. That's why you want to grow. Or maybe you have staffing issues. You're doing great, but you really need to reinvest into your business and hire more people, and you need it because of staffing concerns. Of course, all of these are all applicable, but there's going to be one or two things that stand out more specifically. Maybe it's your future thing, and that future thing is really you're getting up in age and you're going to retire in the next 5 years and you want to go out in grand style, right? So you got a timeline and you want to build for the future. Your own fulfillment, again, back to sort of this notion that you want to create an impact in the community, that you want to make a difference. And that's a great thing, and that should be there. But that may be a key driver for you in this endeavor. And of course, if you're in for instance, a franchise network, and maybe you have corporate sponsors or a board, so it's a corporate driver that based on business plans and settings, others are really pushing you to do this, but it's not working for you, and you know that the online business can do it, but you're stifled, right? So that's number one. The next one here is, where are you now? So we need to take a snapshot and understand where are you now. This gets interesting. I talked about this as the online edition, so we're going to kind of start with that right here. One of the things that we look at first is, okay, so leads coming in from your website directly through clicks and conversions through forums and submissions, yes, but also call tracking, calls that come into your office. We want to essentially build out a spreadsheet here. This spreadsheet should be simple at first. You can go extensive, you can go hog wild on this, but we want it to be simple because we want it to be fast, right? This is the fast path. So, what number of leads are you getting now? Daily, weekly, monthly, etc., right? Get that spectrum going. The conversion rate, I often ask this, what's your conversion numbers now? No clue, right? Pardon me, but I have to be direct. Traffic numbers, what are those looking like right now? Often I ask business owners these questions and they don't have an answer. What landing pages, what specific pages on your website is driving this traffic and actually creating conversions? And this notion that we're going to map out a follow-up is definitely not typical in most small businesses and local businesses, but it is huge. The fact that somebody comes through your website and doesn't purchase or doesn't call doesn't mean that they can't be engaged in this follow-up system. We'll talk about that later. So then basically you're mapping out leads, conversions. We start getting into revenue numbers, as you said, as we saw before. Profit margins, what do those look like? People, staffing, resources, etc. So now all of a sudden we get a nice snapshot of where you are currently, right? So that's number two. Number three here is, where do you want to go? And yes, this sounds basic, right? But it is the basic stuff that really works here. So where do you want to go? Here's the classic timesheet, right? X, Y axis, time, dollars. Well, by what time, how much, right? So once you map this out and we start to get data points around this, it really gets to be a much more fruitful and interesting conversation because we can map out some action items from it. And then, of course, this one is huge. So you might want to pick up a book. Perry Marshall has a book out on the 80-20 rule of business. And you know this to be true. 20% of efforts or input creates 80% of that output or results, right? read about that, study it. And here's the question that I tend to ask. What is it that in your business, so products, services, pages, this mapping here, yields the most valuable result for you? So if it's a specific product, we need to make sure that we focus on that. A service endeavor, focus, focus, focus. And that this 80-20 rule becomes kind of your staple in your thinking. Okay, so we can make changes to address these concerns very quickly. And what are those changes? Well, we're going to kind of take you over here now. So based on this worksheet here and this analysis, and by the way, let me just backtrack real quick. This why here, we want to keep asking the questions why, so you dig a little deeper. So keep that in mind. So from this worksheet, this analysis, we can ask some questions. We can ask questions like, what are your conversions? And what are those tests that you're doing right now? What about the traffic? Are you getting the right traffic to the right pages, right? You could have a website that looks fine, it seems to be acting naturally in search engines, but something is wrong in the structure. People tend to drop off. Maybe they're supposed to click A, B, and C. C is where the event happens. I hope it's not too deep, but that's a different topic for user engagement and user experience. But the truth is, you can sort of siphon this by clicks and managing your internal link structure to have people go to the right pages. You might have some duplicate pages on your website where some of the folks are going to that page, some of the folks are going to that page, this page, and you're not only creating duplication for yourself for search engines, which is not nice for the users, but definitely not nice for your revenue and for your growing your business, because you basically have two different pages that perhaps say two different things. So making sure you have that structure done. And then, of course, if you have calls coming into your office, who's picking up the phone? Is it somebody in your office, or do you have an actual call center? Make sure that you have a very detailed script for those people so that they can handle the requests correctly. Just that alone, right there, doubling your business opportunity, right? Because frankly, this is one that gets sort of left to the end, and the back end is where the business happens, right? Yes, good. So now, next, we want to make sure that we add a follow-up sequence. So emails, email autoresponders. So look that up if you don't have it, and get one. Aweber is great. Infusionsoft is what we use, but add a follow-up system. So if they submit information through a particular page and they're getting a thank you page, hopefully, right? Then the sales and nurturing funnel happens at the back end. This is exactly what you want. Lots of businesses don't do that. Lots of opportunities exist here to really grow your business fast. Finally, Google My Business. This is the Google dashboard that allows you to set up kind of that maps area for the local pack, which you know exists when you type in your brand name or your local keywords, it shows up. And you want to make sure that you have data consistency on this, that you always track it and make sure that you have a unified data front across variables on the internet or websites on the internet, but certainly here. So if you Google your name in your local community, your brand name, and perhaps your phone number or address, you can do this in Google, and it shows up differently out on the web than it does in Google My Business, the local map pack. Well, then you want to make sure that you fix that, right? The next one is make sure you update the information in there so it's all current. Make sure that profile is good. Then, of course, I talked about duplicates. Duplicates is a no-no. Make sure you fix those. And just an overall completeness of the profile. So make sure you get your category set up, get pictures in there, get videos, make sure that you set up the date and time for office hours, etc. There's a lot of information in there that you may not consider important. Well, it is. Make sure it's complete. And not finally, but I guess I did put that there as a final thing, analytics. You know, that's one of the first things that you need to look at to get all of this data. Are you tracking? Do you have it applied? Is it working on all the pages right now? Are you using Google Analytics or something else? Or are you using Google Tag Manager, which is another great container tool to manage all your scripts? Well, make sure that you have this. And I put, of course, here, because it's so obvious, I didn't even put it in there. Can you believe it? So, it's here. But it is essential, because without this, it's like the heartbeat or the central nervous system. You will not get anything out from your website. And the website is important. And if you don't have a website, well, I think you know the answer. You got to get one, right? So with all of this, when you think about kind of this like status quo and where are you and where are you going, and you add to this the kind of top level analysis and you start asking these questions, can you see without worrying about I need more traffic or I need to update my pages. Well, that's a great question, but typically it starts with I need to be ranked or I need more traffic. If you look at really incoming traffic, that middle layer and that back end layer, I'm talking more about the middle to the back end, because once you fix that, immediately you'll see the fast path to that growth, yes, but also you'll be able to essentially send new traffic to a funnel and a back end system that you know works. And again, if you don't have a process and a system in place for this, you better get one, because you're going to be struggling. But you know what? The fact that you're watching this video and this little casual sit down with me is exciting, because I was able to share this with you in a few minutes. And if you take action of these today, you're on your way. Okay? So thank you, and keep watching. This is episode number 2, and episode number 1 is out. So keep watching, keep sharing, and I'll put a little link up here. So if you have any questions for me directly, we can set that up as well. Have a good one, guys and gals. Keep rocking.